And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. So who are the sons of God and the daughters of men in Genesis 6? Well, there are two primary schools of thought for answering this question. One says the sons of God are actually fallen angels, and the daughters of men are just as the text reads, daughters of the men living at that time. Now, this is the position I take and believe, and while very scripturally sound, is considered too wild and scary to be taught in most churches. The other school of thought says the sons of God are simply the descendants of Seth, and the daughters of men are specifically the daughters of Cain. Now, we'll call this view the sons of Seth view, and is the predominant view which is probably taught in your church, that is, if the subject is even dared to be brought up. The reason for this is that the sons of Seth view tends to be more palatable for those who would like to escape any such supernatural phenomena that may have occurred in biblical history. From their point of view, why make the Bible any less believable than it already is? I mean, we already have to explain talking donkeys, how a man survived 3 days in the belly of a whale, Noah's Ark, and many other seemingly impossible things. In other words, people already think us Christians are crazy enough. Why make it any worse if we don't have to? Well, at Quest Logos, we take the radical position that we really shouldn't put too much emphasis on what others think of us if we're simply professing the truth of Scripture. We have this rather wild notion that the opinion of the majority isn't always in line with the truth of God. I know, crazy, huh? So let's go ahead and dive straight into this before I start to wander off any further. What's that? Someone just said, too late? Ouch. So the predominant view of Christians today is that in Genesis 6, the sons of God and the sons of Seth are the sons of God are the sons of Seth, and the daughters of men are the daughters from the line of Cain. As a review, we know Adam and Eve had two sons initially, Cain and Abel, as you see illustrated at the top of the slide. Cain, as we all know, killed Abel and was sent away cursed by God. Seth was then born of Adam and Eve and started his own line of descendants. So there you have the two lines in question established, the line of Cain and the line of Seth. So the two lines then grew separately in different regions as represented in this slide. And at some point, most today believe that the two lines were intermarried when the sons of Seth, which would be the line on the right, saw the daughters of Cain, and they took of them wives for themselves. So if we take the sons of Seth view, and again, that's one I reject, the sons of Seth saw the beautiful daughters of Cain and married them. Now remember, this is all a backdrop to the Great Flood, the greatest catastrophe in history, where all of humanity was destroyed and only Noah, his family, and the animals on the ark survived. The beginning of Genesis 6 then is explaining what terrible things caused God to take this action. Now, we'll get to the full scripture passage in just a second and lay these details out, but it's important to understand what the historical context is. So, from the sons of Seth view, this intermingling with the wicked daughters of Cain was so evil that every thought of man was evil continuously, and God decided to destroy all life on earth. Now, if you're scratching your head saying, so God destroyed all of humanity for this, that's probably a good thing that you are. You see, there's much, much more to this story, as we'll see. Let's just get to the scripture. Genesis 6, and it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. So that's the sons of Seth view. Now, I guess if you like things simple and aren't as intrigued by Scripture as I and many others are, that view may suffice. Not for me. I question this view from top to bottom. First of all, it doesn't seem to make sense contextually. If you read the previous chapter, it details Seth's lineage, and that each son named begat other sons and daughters. Wouldn't it make sense that in the next chapter, if anyone's daughters were being referenced, it would be the ones just spoken of, Seth's, not Cain's? Also, why are the sons given a divine nomenclature, sons of God, and the daughters given a mortal description, daughters of men? It would seem the obvious intent of the wording is to draw that distinction between the divine and mortal, and to convey a union of the divine and mortal. In fact, we know this to be the case. The sons of God phrase is an English translation of the Hebrew words Benaha Elohim, and every other time it is used in Old Testament scripture, it is referring to divine beings created by God. Now, were you ever given that little tidbit of information before? So in terms of scholarly proofs, that's all I'll say to debunk the sons of Seth view. For that reason, I just don't think it deserves further consideration as a tenable theory. It's not scripturally sound. But let's throw out a few practical ones. How about this? The sons of Seth view offers no explanation at all of why the mysterious Nephilim appear. I find it odd that if the big mistake that caused the end of the world was supposedly marrying Cain's daughters, that out of nowhere, a passage about giants is just thrown in there with no further explanation. And the sons of Seth view expects us to believe these giants were there, but didn't play a part in any of the evil going on at the time. I keep moving, nothing to see here. Further, we see nowhere in Scripture where giants are produced by mortal men marrying mortal women, nor do we find any mention of God forbidding Seth's descendants from marrying Cain's. Why also does the text only mention sons of God and daughters of men? What about the daughters of God and sons of men? If the sons of God and daughters of men are the only ones participating in this unholy union, why would the daughters of God and sons of men also be driven to pure evil continuously? And as a practical matter, don't you think Seth's line of female descendants will be a little perturbed that their men, all of a sudden, were not interested in them and started marrying Cain's female descendants? Yeah, I'm sure that went over well. I guess we are to suppose Cain's daughters were that much better looking than Seth's. I did hear they had great personalities, though. And just one other, because I can't resist. Why were the supposedly godly sons of Seth so interested in these ungodly daughters of Cain? Well, perhaps we should leave that one alone. But if you wonder where these giants came from and why all of humanity was destroyed for marrying into the wrong family, you may want to dig a little deeper, because these matters do have huge implications. Have you ever heard a non-believer say, I could never believe in a God that would just wipe out all people on the face of the earth for no good reason? That's not the kind of God anyone should worship. Now, if you're a Christian, you know God is righteous in all his judgments, but with the sons of Seth view, it can be difficult to counter that argument that maybe God overreacted. Now, of course, that's not the position I take, but taking the easy way out with the sons of Seth view can open Christians and God himself up to that type of criticism. And for what? So we can avoid sounding crazy by giving the fallen angels view? Well, stay tuned and look out for our second installment of this important video series, where we go into that realm of the mysterious fallen angels. And as a teaser, have you ever wondered where demons came from? One last thing. If you have any pity in your heart, hit that subscribe button. Just for you, I'm making it absolutely free to do so. Again, thanks for turning in to Quest Logos. I'm your host, J. Trevor Adkins, wishing you all success in your personal quest to draw closer to the truth that in the beginning was Logos. Take care.